good morning everyone. It is a beautiful day here in Hollywood, California. Let's go take advantage of it. Let's go check out the park underneath the Hollywood sign. I haven't been there in a while. Daze with Jordan begins now. Yeah, it's been quite a while since we've been up to this park. Always a hassle to get up there. They're always doing some sort of road construction, like now. Here's the Hollywood sign right there. All right, we have made it. Oh great, I see some dogs out here where he hadn't come for a while because there's never dogs. There he goes. So I think we have a pretty good vlog planned today. We're gonna go to Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills, and we're gonna go visit someone who was recently buried there, their final resting place. They have a sibling they are buried right next to, and we did a vlog on that person, so I'll remind you when we get out there. But this is a woman who was a fantastic actor, great comedian, a fantastic director, and I think she's worth going out and visiting today. So we're gonna go see the grave of Penny Marshall and her brother Garry Marshall. Aww, that dog just sprinted across the park to see Ja. Name's Cookie. He's popular. Actually, to be honest, I'm really excited for the next couple of days worth of vlogs because I love Penny Marshall. What we're gonna do tomorrow was kind of a surprise. It was just one of those things. It's actually somebody who has been on this vlog before, and I've told you about how cool I think they are. And tomorrow we're gonna get to show you. And then the next day we have one of my favorite people of all time is gonna be on the vlog, and I'm gonna take them somewhere extremely special. So hope you guys will tune in for the next couple of days because I'm really planning on making them special. I'm really shocked today, to be honest with you, because almost always there are tons and tons and tons of tourists out here taking photos, and that also makes it hard to park and also hard to play because you're constantly feeling like you're getting in their way. I don't know why there aren't any out here today, but it's kind of fun not having it tourist central. It used to be a park like this all the time, and then it changed for a while. It looks like it's back. Also, this park is not technically a dog park. They won't allow it because whoever donated the land specified they didn't want it to be a dog park. So sometimes they do come around and yell at people to put their dogs on the leash, but otherwise people pretty much have used it as a dog park for years. There's his little friend. He's been playing, but he also just loves all the open grass. He'll just turn around and start sprinting out of nowhere. Psst. Yeah, sometimes he'll take off and come after me. Oh, there he goes, belly flop. What's going on here? All right, let's head off to Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills. I've never been to either grave, Garry or Penny Marshall, so we'll do this together. I did see that they're pretty close to that amazing Abraham Lincoln statue in the cemetery, so that's gonna be kind of cool. Here we are. Oh, this is perfect. This is wonderful. Look at this. No lines of cars or anything out here. I don't see hardly any activity out here, which means nobody died. It's always a plus. Yeah, usually up here at the church there's a ton of people for a service, so good news. I actually spoke too soon. As I got up to the section that we needed, I noticed a ton of cars. Not in the specific section we need, but across from it. So not all as well, as you can see here. All right, let's find this historical woman. The woman who was the very first female director to make a movie that made over $100 million. The first official guest star on The Simpsons. And Laverne DeFazio. You also might find it kind of interesting that in the building that Garry and Penny grew up in, they also grew up with fashion designers Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, and also playwright Neil Simon. The man who wrote The Odd Couple, which would come into Penny's life eventually. Okay, I can already tell where they're at because I see two softballs over here, but let's take a look at Lincoln first. Here's a really fantastic mosaic representation of his life. Very well done. Civil War. Look at that huge chair. The details in that. So as we walk out of where Lincoln's statue is, right here, at the base of this bench is Garry and Penny. Always extremely close. You definitely have to give Garry credit for helping Penny make it. He was a early writer when he was in college, and then came out to Hollywood and was writing for Joey Bishop's show, and eventually Dick Van Dyke, and then Happy Days, which is where he was able to bring his sister in as Laverne DeFazio, who was going to be going out on a double date with Richie and Fonzie. But right over here, so we came to see Penny. Actually, Carol. Named after Carol Lombard. That's right, it's almost like Penny was destined to be a great comedic actress because her mother was a huge fan of Carol Lombard and decided that her first name was going to be Carol, and nickname was Penny. She went by Penny the rest of her life. And one of the interesting things I read about Penny Marshall and her family was that everyone in her family was baptized under a different religion, and her mother, apparently, because her mother was a dance teacher and times were tough renting out recital halls, she would basically baptize the kids into wherever they could use a space for like a recital or something else after. So her mother was a dancer and Penny became a dancer. She was taking tap dance at the age of 3, and then she went off and went to University of New Mexico and was studying dance. And then she got pregnant and married and ended up being a choreographer for the Albuquerque Opera Company for a while. And then eventually came out to Hollywood, and she got cast in a commercial being the, well, literally the ugly girl opposite Farrah Fawcett in a Head & Shoulders commercial. They said that they had stand-ins for both girls, and Penny's stand-in had a sign around her neck that said ugly girl, and kind of felt bad for Penny, so she changed it to plain girl, and of course Farrah was the beautiful girl. But Penny ended up doing quite a bit. She ended up being on The Odd Couple. She got cast as the secretary on The Odd Couple and did a lot of like kind of bit guest appearances on different things. And then eventually her brother Garry got her into being on Happy Days, and then they made that spin-off, Laverne and Shirley. Now that was what's really cool, is that L was her idea. that was something that was always on Laverne's clothing, and that was Penny's idea. She told the wardrobe department she wanted that on there, and so most all of her costumes for that show, every time she went on a date or anything, every jacket, everything she had was always wearing that L. And I remember the time that Lenny and Squiggy moved out of the apartment from each other. They were like separating basically, and Lenny had the jacket, and he wanted it to say like one wolf or something like that, and she put the L on there so it would say lone wolf. So that L was pretty famous for her. She was also really great on that show because you can tell she was a dancer. They would always have those episodes where she was doing a dance or entering a dance contest with her date or something like that. Always drinking her milk and Pepsi, eating her scooter pies. And this is when she began directing. Her brother Garry talked her into directing some of the episodes of Laverne and Shirley, which lasted, you know, the better part of a decade. I think it was 8 seasons. And then she eventually got interested in directing feature-length films, and she did the great Whoopi Goldberg movie Jumpin' Jack Flash, and then made history with Tom Hanks. When she made big with Tom Hanks, this set a new record. A female director had never brought in $100 million for any feature-length film. And then she went on to do the phenomenal Awakenings with Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. And she did A League of Their Own. She did Renaissance Man with Danny DeVito. She was also up for, in the early days, the role of Gloria on All in the Family, which would have made her playing opposite her real-life husband at that time, Mike Stivic, the meathead, which was Rob Reiner. Now, Rob Reiner was not the only famous person that Penny Marshall was associated with. After she divorced him, in the 80s, she was dating Art Garfunkel of Simon & Garfunkel, and I believe Art Garfunkel credited her as helping him get through his depression. Now, what's interesting about her also is that she was a massive sports fan, and she was a massive collector. I remember seeing an interview with Lori Petty, and they were talking about filming A League of Their Own, and she was saying that when they went to those towns that we went to film the baseball scenes, inside the park at those old stadiums, they said that she would spend all of her off time going to all the local thrift stores and furniture stores and was just looking for anything that was unique. She always loved to buy stuff, and they said like most of the furniture that's in the boarding house that the girls live in A League of Their Own, she ended up keeping all of it. And Lori Petty even said she bought so much stuff that at the end of shooting, she had literally a big moving semi, like a moving truck semi full of stuff. And I went to her and said, you know, I bought a little bit of stuff. Would it be okay if I put it on your truck and I can get it from you when it makes it to Los Angeles? And no joke, Penny said, oh honey, I don't think there's gonna be room. That's how much stuff she bought. Now, I also heard from various people that Penny loved to support charities, and one of the ways that she would do that is, since she was a big basketball fan, she would buy anytime like the Clippers or the Lakers were auctioning or selling game-used jerseys or autographed jerseys or game-used sneakers, anything like that, she would buy them. And so I had heard that inside her house she had just closets full of annotated, documented jerseys and shoes and memorabilia from these local Los Angeles sports teams. I was always hoping at some point to get to meet her because she did frequent so many Clipper games, and I never did meet her. I met Billy Crystal there, but I never did meet her. I would have loved to have asked to come and vlog her collection and to see some of the stuff that she's collected from her other movies. When you know that she kept that stuff from A League of Their Own, you have to wonder what else she kept. Great lady. It was sad. She did have a long life though. I mean, you can see here she lived into her 70s, and she made a lot of really, really memorable television and film that will live on forever. Like this says, she made us laugh. Now her brother Garry would make guest appearances in some of her stuff. He was in A League of Their Own, and he pretty much helped her entire career. It's kind of cool to see a family that is that close. And you might be wondering, what's the deal with the softballs? Well, I can give you two firsthand stories, or stories that my friends lived through that they told me when he was still alive, that I can share with you as to why there are softballs here. One is, you know, my friend James, who's been on the vlog, his ex-girlfriend used to work at a restaurant that Garry used to go to all the time. And Garry used to also have, I believe, season tickets to the Hollywood Bowl. And this restaurant catered to the Hollywood Bowl, so he would see her at both places. And she said he was obsessed with softball. He even had his own girls softball team, and he would handpick girls that he liked, and it wasn't anything like perverted or anything. His wife would even come to the games, but Garry loved to have like blonde girls on a softball team. Now, you also might remember my friend Chuck, who we just went to his birthday party. Chuck is a senior citizen and recently retired from playing softball. He's played his whole life. He's always loved it. And he told me Garry Marshall was on some of the teams that he's played on for the last 40 years. So he knew Garry very well. Garry's life outside of making comedy and making movies and being a writer for television was softball. Go figure. And it's kind of cool that they're now eternally going to be beside each other. Grew up in New York together and made it in Hollywood together. World famous directors together. Here they are right next to Lincoln. And then let's check out this bench that's in their honor. Actually, I believe this is, yeah, it's from Garry's wife. The Barbara and Garry Marshall family. Sit on it. Isn't that great? You guys remember Sit on It? Come on, that's Happy Days. Sit on it, mouth. So, we will. If you'd like to know more about Garry, I did a vlog. They have a theater named after him, and it has some of his memorabilia, some of his Happy Days stuff. So look up Garry Marshall on my channel. That's really great if you read it. It says, beloved husband, father, grandfather, friend, filmmaker, and softball player. I devoted my life to making people of all ages laugh and be happy. I leave with the peaceful feeling I did. You sure did. Penny passed away at the age of 75 from causes of cardiopulmonary failure, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes type 1. And rest in peace, Laverne. We'll never forget the L. All right, everyone, have a great night. Go watch some Big or A League of Their Own or Pretty Woman, which was a Garry Marshall film. Go indulge in some Marshall family movies. That's all I have to say. Have a great night. We'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.
Cause there's a great spot